because you've not seen anything.
You guys are here.
Yes, sir. Yes, closer. Where is Brohi?
Yes, so good morning, everyone, and you're welcome to Oida Energy Booth. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right, good morning, everyone. So you're welcome to Oida Energy Booth, and this is NAICE 2026. My name is Juliet Omeche, and I am a technical sales engineer with Oida Energy. So Oida Energy is a well intervention company. We do well intervention services such as wireline services. For now, I will be presenting to you one of our products, which we call XYME. So XYME is an enhanced energy recovery solution. So it's a fast track production, increased technology. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll be focusing on the success story of this XYME. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, so in the Niger Delta, the average recovery factor extends about 30 to 40%, leaving 60 to 70% of the original oil still trapped in the formation or in the reservoir. So the question is not if this oil exists, the question is how do we recover this oil? Now this is where XYME comes in place. So the problem is of many industry experts is, oh, how do I produce more oil to eradicate, and how do I eradicate the barriers that prevent the production of more oil to maintain my wells and to produce more oil at a minimum or no cost? The answer to this question is XYME technology. Next slide. So this is the XYME. What is this XYME? XYME is an enhanced oil recovery system, like I said before, that increases the recovery factor and extends the life cycle of oil fields. In simpler terms, you have a well and then it's no longer producing as it used to from the initial production. How do I increase the production? That is where XYME comes in place. So what XYME does is that it releases the trapped oil from the rock surface and then increases the production by up to 120% to over 460%. Next slide. Okay, so before I go into the case history, I want to explain to you how this XYME actually works. We're going to see a practical of how it works after this session, but then I would explain. So if we have a rock surface and the crude oil is already trapped in this rock, it can't come out. XYME would go there and release them by tiny droplets. Break them. It would break them into tiny droplets, and then the oil will start coming out. Do you understand what I mean? The oil will start coming out. Instead of it trapped on the surface of the rock, it will start coming out and start flowing. That way you get more production. So this is our case history. We've performed XYME, we've deployed XYME with a client that had sharp decline in oil production. After they produced oil, after they produced the well declined, the production declined, and XYME was deployed to improve the recovery factor. So the result was 341.7% increase. We can see the well data before and after. So before production, or before the XYME intervention, they were producing about 131 barrels of oil per day, and after we got an increase of 679 barrels of oil. And then the water cut increased as well, because XYME would not only increase the crude, it would also increase water, but as well you will get oil gain. Next slide. Okay, so this is another case history of a client who experienced sharp decline in oil production, and then we deployed XYME. We got about 460% increase in production. So this increase depends on your production rates. We might have a well that is producing about 100 barrels of oil per day. So when we deploy XYME, it would increase more than a well that was producing 50 barrels of oil per day, right? So we have the before and the after production data. Next slide. Okay, so this was the progress report of deployment of XYME in Agbara. Sigmund was our client, and their well was in Agbara, so we deployed XYME in this well. We could see the tanks filled with XYME. Next slide. And this is a picture of the pre and post job sample of our XYME. So we have the pre-job sample for the well, and then we can see the post-job sample. We have more oil, more crude produced. Next slide. All right, so what differentiates Oida Energy from others? Next slide. More of it, yes. So we have trained engineers and technicians. Can you go back, please? Go back to the differentiators. Yeah, so we have, what differentiates us is that we have trained engineers and technicians, and then we monitor what happens in the field real time. Also, we have innovative fast-track production enhancement solution like this XYME that I just mentioned, and then we have a remote support available to crew on standby for 24 hours. Then we also have integrated process approach to service delivery, and we've performed over 100 operations with 92% success rate. Next slide. Next slide. About data. So we have various clients, like we can see on the screen. We've worked for Chevron, we've worked for Shell, ExxonMobil, AJIP, Total, and the likes of the IOCs and NOCs. We've also performed 100% successful SIL3 operations. We're also leading in rigless workovers and well intervention services, with over 1,000 plus rigless workovers executed successfully. We're also leading in tubing patch technology, and we've performed about 100 water shut-off projects successfully. We're also leading in marginal field development. So we've performed, we've brought Salt Pond Field in Ghana, Ibigwe Field, and then K Field to their first oil production. Then Oida, that's Oida Energy, we also hold the world record in Shell Group globally for the longest single multi-run TCP DST interval perforation. And then we're located at number 282 Transamadi Industrial Layout in Port Harcourt. Next slide. Yeah, so we've come to the end of today's session. Thank you for listening. Do we have any questions? Before we run the practical, we'll need questions. Do you have any questions?
Okay. Good morning, Ma. Thank you very much for the insightful session. So I have just one question regarding XYME. Did you face any challenges while trying to deploy XYME to the well?
Thank you very much for that question. So before we deploy XYME, we have to run injectivity test. We call it injectivity test on your well. Or first off, we'll have to perform evaluation on this well. So we ask our clients to provide us data for the well, right? So with those data, we would evaluate the well and confirm that this well is actually a suitable candidate well for XYME. Before we ever deploy XYME to any well, we have to perform this test. So if it is not, we will tell the client, oh, we can't perform XYME on this well because it would not work. Can you hear me? Okay. So when we do that, and then it's a candidate well, it's perfect, we deploy this XYME, and then we do not have any obstruction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. So basically this is an enhanced oil recovery process, right? So is it a biochemical or chemical EOR?
So thank you for that question. It's not a chemical, it's a biological enzyme. Yes. So it's not the regular chemical. I know what you're talking about. The regular chemical enhancement production, right? It's not. So it's biological. So it would not go and destroy your well. It would leave it how it is. Do you understand? Yes. Thank you. Any more question? All right. So we're going to go into the practical session.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Please, next slide. Okay, so this is a graphical representation of XYME at work. Here, this XYME was deployed in different countries. We have China, Indonesia, Venezuela. And this black here is showing before the deployment of XYME. So this was what the fields were producing. This is that's the black lines. And after the deployment of XYME, we can see the green. You can see the increase in production for each of these wells. So I'm going to be taking this around. This is a core sample from one of our Nigerian reservoirs here. So you just see this core sample has been soaked in crude oil. So I'm going to be showing you a live demonstration of XYME at work. Just pass it around. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is also another data too. Here we can see the location, the well number, how many drums of XYME was pumped into this reservoir, the barrels of oil per day. So this well was producing 25 barrels of oil per day before the intervention of XYME. And after the intervention of XYME, we can see that it had about 392% increase. And this well started producing 123 barrels of oil per day. And now, like my colleague has said before, XYME is adverse to various well conditions. It's adverse to high temperature. It works very well in high temperature. Your naturally radio occurring solutions like your gamma ray, your high salinity, sulfur, and like XYME is adverse. It can work very well in under all those conditions. And she also says that there are certain criteria before you deploy XYME, not just every well. So the water cut has to be less than 75%. And also, it has to be an old well that has just maybe suddenly producing very little fluid flow, or a new well that is not really producing any oil. So this is when we start, talking about XYME or XYME. Please, can I have okay. So this core sample has been soaked in crude oil for about 48 hours thereabouts. So I'm going to be putting XYME. This is our XYME, our enzyme solution. Just a sample. I'm going to be pouring it inside here. And here we're going to see that the oil samples will start coming to surface. So I'm going to let this settle for a bit. Next slide, please. This is also another graphical representation. We have a lot of graphical representation of how many times we've deployed Zyme in different countries. So this is another graphical representation in Venezuela still. Here we can also see the green line. And Zyme is also injected between 6 months to 36 months. So you can still keep injecting Zyme. We had a case history where we deployed Zyme. The whale was meant to die in the year like 1999. And after the intervention of Zyme through different years, 6 months at 6 months, the life cycle of the whale was extended from about 1999 to about 2016. So we can see it lasted for so many years. Next slide, please. Also, this is also another case history of the deployment of Zyme, where we see the significant increase in production from this well. Next slide, please. So I don't know, I'm going to take this round. I don't know if we can see very little tiny oil droplets just surrounding the surface of the rock. Yes. So we can just see the oil on the surface. So that's how Zyme works. So when you inject it, so we inject Zyme into our reservoir by either coil tubing or bullheading. Bullheading is usually for your new wells. So you just bullhead it into the soil. But the coil tubing is mostly for your old wells that, has produced very little fluid or is currently dying. So that's when we usually do coil tubing. But for your new wells, you can just go with bullheading of the Zyme into the reservoir. So I don't know if we can see the screen. This is also another case history of Zyme. We can see here that before records, this was producing about 157 barrels of oil per day. And after the deployment of Zyme, this is about 394 barrels of oil per day. Next slide, please. This is also another typical result after Zyme application. The average tracking, like I said, is between 18 months to 3 years. So when you deploy Zyme, you track it between 18 months to 3 years, and after you see, it's not like it's going to stay for like forever. So obviously it will decline a little bit. You can still inject your Zyme into that same reservoir after it has declined a little bit, and it will continue producing. Next slide, please. This is also other case studies, other case histories. Here we can see the deployment of Zyme. You can see that these are also the timelines. This was deployed in 3rd March 2003. And we can see the life cycle of this reservoir kept increasing, decreasing. After multiple injection, it also kept increasing. And this life cycle of this well was extended from 2003 to 2016 with the intervention of Zyme. Next slide, please. Also, another case history. We have multiple case histories. If we want to start here, we'll not finish. This is also more case histories on Zyme. This was deployed in China. The well was producing 20 barrels of oil per day. And also, with the injection of Zyme, it also depends on the characteristics of your well. So if your well is, we have 3 different major factors. If your well is sufficient, self-sufficient, and insufficient. And we mix this Zyme with formation water. So it depends on, like what she said, the water cuts of the reservoir. So we mix it with the formation water with the Zyme. So it also depends on how much water your well is producing before we now inject it into the reservoir. So this is another example. This was producing 20 barrels of oil per day. And after the intervention of Zyme, it started producing 54 barrels of oil per day. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that's the last slide. I hope we all understand all I have said. And if we have any questions, please.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. So basically, after you inject Zyme, like how long do you need it to act? Like what's the soaking period, let's say, before you start seeing the benefits?
Anytime, almost immediately, if I would say, or anytime between 3 months, thereabouts. Usually, and maybe between 3 months. About. Sometimes it might not. This also depends on the characteristics of the well. Different wells, different characteristics. So you can never fully put it. So it depends on the characteristics of the well, your water cut, all those things. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, if there's no other question, we will be having a little game session right now.
Just where's the other sign? Where's the
Yes, sir.
tournament?
So we're going to be displaying the QR code for the game. It's a tournament game. So we're going to be displaying the QR code for the game. It's a well intervention game. So you're just going to identify. You're going to identify what exactly they're doing. So this is the QR code. Please, can we scan it? Okay, sorry, this is a safety game. So what you're going to do is that you're going to identify every unsafe act in this picture. Your time is going. It's 1 minute. Your time is going. So you're going to identify every unsafe act in this picture. Just see an unsafe act, just click it. When you see an unsafe act, just tap it. When you see an unsafe act, just tap it. Have we been able to scan it? Yes. Are you done? Do you think you're done? Okay. You've not been able to scan it. What? How many did you get? 6. Wow. What did you get? It's not too hard. It's not 3. Somebody has gotten 29 here. So it's not that hard. Should we do another? Yeah, somebody got 29. Okay, so should we do it again? So let me explain. 6-3. So let's do it again. So let me explain it very well. So the picture that you're seeing, you will see a lot of, what I mean unsafe act is that, let's say there's a pin on the ground, that's an unsafe act. You tap on it, that's point 1. There's something hanging, not properly, that's an unsafe act. You tap it, that's 2 points. So just keep tapping your screen. Anywhere you see that something is not properly, safe, just tap it, that's 1. So let's do it again. It seems you guys did not understand it initially. So do we understand it better now? Just keep tapping. Anywhere you see unsafe, I'll just keep tapping.
Yes, just keep tapping, just keep tapping. So you have your score. So what's the score? 17. So we have 17. We have 17.
We'll be discussing open opportunity and are interested in experienced hires and young professionals.
18. We have 18.
Eh? 13.
Okay, we have
17. So we have 18, 17 as our highest.
for now.
Yeah, I feel there's something. 34.
Okay, we
Wow.
have 34.
34 and 18 is currently our highest. Any other person still playing?
Yes, we have one person.
Okay, please, when you're done, can you please count the attendance and just pass it around? Thank you. 39. What did you get? 39. So we have 39 and 34.
Yeah, so I think we have our winners.
Yes, please. 39 and 34. Please come forward.
Okay, what's the other person with 30 something? Yes, please. Okay, Miss. Okay.
These are the winners, right?
Yes, these are the winners.
39 again. So give the one I got 34 first.
Okay. All right. Who got that for you? Okay. So this is a gift for coming out second best
Yes.
in the competition. Congratulations.
Duplex is having a career session at 11 o'clock. We'll be discussing opportunities and are interested in experience higher education. Duplex is having a career session by 11 o'clock. We'll be discussing open opportunities and are interested in experience higher education.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay. So why is it single license?
Okay, congratulations. All right, so you can
Thank you
have a
very
great
much.
day, have a great experience. Congrats. Share the word of Oida. Thank you. We are all winners.